I'm working on a project to remove chlorine from our water for our garden. And we've got a water pipe connection right here. This is the one that goes right into the house. So we're going to just tap onto that and bring it up into the top of the tank and just let the water drop in there with mosquito netting and things like that to keep the mosquitoes out. But then we're going to have a tap out here on the outside to grab the water. So we've got a valve, and we'll do that, and then we'll just manually fill this. Now we've got an interesting thing we're going to be doing about how we're going to know what level is in that tank, and stay tuned. I'll show you how that's going to come together, well, once we put it together. So we'll see where that goes. This is the start of this project. I'm just kind of framing it in now, measuring things, and so far everything's looking really good. I've got to finish up the frame because it's not real sturdy right now, but we'll get that done and we'll get this water connected in a bit. I've got my place all sorted out where I'm going to be putting this tank, and now it's come time to decide how we're going to get the water out of the tank. We've looked at lots of variations and decided on using this, just cutting a hole in the bottom. We looked at perhaps siphoning it from the top and not having to cut a hole and various things. Well, it just seems easier just to cut the hole. So that's where we are today. And we bought this oh, what are these called? Now I forgot what it's called, but anyway, it's the right kind of way to get the hole, to get the water from the tank. You don't try to use just a PVC pipe with nuts on it. I've tried that. It really doesn't work. You got to get this, and this was like $3.50. So here in Ecuador, I don't know how much it is where you are, but it's the right kind of a thing. And so now the question is, do we put a hole in the side and get the water out that way, or put a hole in the bottom? And what we've decided, and the reasoning behind it, is that if we look at how much this is going to take, see, one side of this comes off and one side is going to stay together. So let me pull this apart real quick. And okay, so we're going to have this much inside no matter what we do. Now we could have it on the bottom, and I think about this being going to the top, or we have this going inside. And if we come down here really, really close to the bottom, we might get a little bit more water out than we would if we put it from the bottom. See, we're going to get that much. So we'd have to put this right here, and that just doesn't really work. So you're going to get better water out. Still going to have a little bit left no matter what you do. You're going to get better water out by putting this on the bottom. So I'm going to cut a hole right here in the center and put this in. Now it's going to be interesting, and I'll have to cut to another video to show you how I'm going to put that in. But I've learned a few tricks about how putting this in because there's no hole at the top. So how do we get this all the way down into the bottom? And I'll show you a real interesting trick on that. So I'm going to use my drill. Unfortunately, this is the only drill bit I have right now. The guys took the bag of drill bits and such things, and so this is the only one I have, and it actually is only big enough to go inside. So I'm going to do what we call wallowing out the hole. I'm going to just drill the hole, and then I'm going to weave it back and forth a little bit and just make a great big hole and try to cut the hole big enough to get that. It's not going to have to be perfect because there's these big washers on both sides that will take care of any kind of bad hole that I have. So if I needed something a little more perfect, certainly I would want to get the other drill bit. But with this, it's not going to have to be very strict at all, and so I'm going to make that hole. Be right back, and then I'm going to show you how we put this together. Well, I put my hole in the bottom of this and warbled it out, and wallered it out, or whatever the word is. I don't know the right word, but anyway, made a hole big enough that this easily slides in and out. It's on the bottom, we're on the top right now. And so now I'm ready to insert this. Well, how do we get that in there? There's no way to just reach in. This hole doesn't work, and this hole's not big enough. So we've got a couple of options here. I can either cut this piece way down, which I'm not real thrilled about doing, or I can cut one of these holes out, and we're going to be putting mosquito netting on here anyway to keep the mosquitoes out, and I got to be able to get inside and connect that up. So I need a little bit of access in here anyway. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to take this littler hole and cut this out, cut a square out here, and that's going to allow me to at least get inside, and then I'll put the mosquito netting, can be able to connect that better. But then that's still not going to allow me to get to the bottom, because no matter how hard I try, my arm won't reach to the bottom. So I'll still have to show you the interesting secret here in just a few minutes. But first, I got to cut a hole. All right, so I've cut my hole, and I've added a piece of electrical cable in here. I just had an old extension cord, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed that up through the other side here, and then that's going to take both hands, so I'll have to lay the camera down, because I doubt that I can get this one-handed, but I might. I'm going to try here. Yep, there it is. So just grab it there, and now the magic. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a piece, take this here, and an old piece of, this is a rebar. You could take a broom handle, hockey stick, whatever. Actually, I think that's where I learned it. This guy was talking about using a hockey stick, but ours is a little different here. He was cutting a hole on the side, and ours is a hole on the bottom, but generally the same. But I'm going to tape this up. I'm going to use just some black electrician's tape. Hey, it's electrical cable, electrician's tape, why not? And I'm just going to tie it onto the end, just a little bit past the end of that. Now, in this case, we might not have to do that, but anyway, I'll tie this on with some tape, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, before I go on to the next step, you can see I've tied the electrical tape here and just added a little bit extra off the end of that. And then here's the other end. Now the reason I've got this on here is so we don't accidentally lose this. And we put this on here in reverse, okay, as if we were going to put it in like that. When I put it on the other end, I put it in reverse. So I'm ready to drop that through. And the hole is big enough now for me to drop the whole thing in. So I just drop that in, keep this part, and this has got heavy weight on it, so that keeps it from accidentally falling inside, because that'd be kind of a mess if you did that. So you don't want to do that. Now here's the little secret part. You take your stick, whatever that is, and just go down in here on this side, and we do just a small amount of fishing, which is pretty simple to do, to hit that hole there. Okay, so now see if we can look down through there and see that it's gone all the way through the hole at the bottom. Okay, and so before that falls in there, I want to not lose my rebar. Okay, so now it's all sticking out this end. So that's easy enough. We take the tape off. Cut that. And the tape off, and our stick can go away. So now we have this cable that goes all the way through the bottom and up to the top. And inside we have our piece that we want. So I'm going to get rid of this rebar. And now the fun part happens. I've got an old tomato stand here, so it makes this job a little bit easier. But you can put it up on between two boards, whatever you got. And I'm going to hold on to this end, this electrical end. In fact, I think I'll drop that inside this side so it doesn't come out. Because the last thing you want to do is lose your cable inside of there. And again, doing this one-handed is kind of weird, so I'm going to put this up here on the stand, okay? And then I just have to take this cable down through here And guess what? We got our connection. Okay, so now I just ran my other pieces up on the end of my cable. Then I needed, here's my cable. I know I got some extra extension cords there, but anyway, I ran that up and I started screwing that on, and just we tighten that up and we'll have our hole in the bottom and with a nice bulkhead connection, and we'll be able to get water out of our tank out of that hole in the bottom. Great stuff, huh? Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Tell all your friends. Thanks for watching.